So I think that we were in April 2015, the last time I did the audio. Yeah, because that was, Stacy Veroni appears on the scene. Giving me a call. So we are in the middle of, obviously trying to get the IA investigation because Frank Milos wanted to challenge it. He wanted to challenge the fact that I wouldn't be able to get the IA investigation because I had the police report. Well, So, and we'll get into the Ethan Shorey and the Frank Milo situation. But, so anyway, so we're in April. I'm waiting for this IA investigation. I want to say somewhere around here, around this time, is when I met and joined Community Response. And we were getting ready. It was really at that point, Community Response. So, there was a little back and forth, obviously, with the, with me being able to get the IA investigation. And I'm sorry, because I'm trying to kind of remember I believe it was. No, I'm not remembering. Anyway, it'll come to me. So anyway, so we're in April. Stacy Veroni, Tony Pyrus, all that meeting with the mayor, and I always, put quotes around or whatever, mayor. So now we're coming up to the 1 year. Coming up to 1 year. And nobody's taking blame. We're playing the blame game, but we're not really doing what we need to do. So I remember getting something in the mail, and I was nervous. I was like, I don't know what this decision's going to be. And so Michael and I were going to Walmart to get my mother some flowers and things that she wanted. So anyway, I take it with me. And I was going to wait until we got to my mother's house to sit down and for us to read it together. And I decided to rip the envelope open, see what it was. Like, what was this decision? And I started to read it. And pretty much the Attorney General's office told me that I could have the IA investigation because just because Frank Milos decided to give me an unredacted police report did not now mean that I cannot get the IA investigation. So that was the victory. That was the first victory. Frank Milos needed to send me the IA investigation. And I remember getting on the phone with Dimitri, and that was a very important decision. That was extremely important because I believe up to that point nobody was getting IA investigations. So we all got together, and that's when Rhode Island Accountability Project was born. To make it easier on people, right? The runaround and everything is crazy, especially when it comes to Frank Milos, because, he says that he knows the law, but he also knows, or he'll tell you, that the city, the people that work, the employees he represents, they're his clients. So he's going to hide the failures. He's been doing it. And it's so funny because I think the first time that I met Frank, or the first time that we had a conversation, and he's like, you're helping so many. I want you to know you're making a difference. They now know that, they need to start doing things right. And you're bringing that to their attention, and you're going to make them a better department by, all this. And not that long ago, Christopher Lafort told me the same thing. There's a whole Christopher Lafort. Oh my God, there is so much on Christopher Lafort that I'll get into, but it's not. But his Christopher Lafort stories don't have anything to do with me. But, well, maybe a little bit of it has to do with me. But, that character, right? And I will get into the Christopher Lafort. But anyway, so I remember getting the IA decision from, and I believe that it was Marlena Lopes. That's my memory anyway. So whoever it was, I did call, and I just left a message thanking them. It was an emotional call, but anyway, I was finally going to be able to see this IA investigation. Now, mind you, we had many conversations with Nappy, and a lot of things were brought up, and policies and procedures and identification and all this stuff, right? So we get the IA investigation. Now, he knows, everybody knows, that major crimes is supposed to be at an unattended death, homicide, suicide. They need to be there. So we're reading this IA investigation, and I felt like it was like a visual of Nappy Gonzalez skipping through daisies, like a whole field of daisies. Here he is. He's skipping along. So I know it's not an easy visual if you know Nappy, but anyway. He mentions that, things would have gone easier if Major Crimes was there. But he doesn't say. Policy and procedure was not followed by David Connors, Matthew Braga, Rafael Perez. Doesn't say that. Didn't say that. He was careful. He was careful with his writing. And he also acknowledges that he's not exactly sure how, when, or why Joseph was identified. And he was still very confused. Nappy. Hey, Nappy. Nappy, I know you're listening. Somebody told you that you've been mentioned, right? So, Nappy. It wasn't confusing. It never happened. Do you get it? You know those wrong the wrong times? You know the stuff that's been used in other cases. Yeah. See, you made stuff up, Nappy. I'm going to sidestep a minute with Nappy because I was thinking, because I have recent text messages with Nappy, and Nappy for some reason thinks that I don't have the police report and the IA investigation. He thinks that I don't know why he doesn't believe me, because I'm not a liar. He is, but I'm not. Why would I tell you I have something that I don't have? I most certainly have it. Nappy. I have text messages with Nappy. And it's so funny because Mark DeSisto's office, he's the attorney. He wants text messages and, anything with, city employees. Just so you know. So, city employees that have had text messages with me. Mark DeSisto wants to see them. Because he's entitled in some way. Anyway, but I did have to mention Nappy to Mark DeSisto's office because I do have them, and they're probably going to come out on my side, but I wanted to let him know that I do have them, but maybe the Attorney General's office would like to see them first, right? That's what I told him. I told Mark, hey, Mark. Yeah, I talked to Nappy recently. What do you think? I don't think that Mark DeSisto should be looking at, text messages with Nappy where Nappy says, how mad he is at his son. Now, if it was self-defense, why are you so mad, Nappy? Wouldn't you be so proud of your son? Wouldn't you be so proud? But you and I know that it wasn't self-defense. But anyway, you want to tell me that I got it wrong? Nappy, come on. Come on, Nappy. I know you're listening. I have to sidestep here for a second. Nappy left Pawtucket, and 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 this is what I hear. I hear that he left Pawtucket and was a crossing guard in East Providence, and then he became chief of staff. See, all you crossing guards out there, start applying, because you can move from a crossing guard up to a chief of staff, right? Now, I'm surprised that Bob DeSilva would have Nappy as the chief of staff. But there's a caveat to that. There is a caveat to that. They both worked in Pawtucket for the Pawtucket Police Department. Both of them. They also opened a transport company. They opened a transport company together. The paperwork doesn't lie, right? Right, Roberto? The transport company with Roberto De Silva's, I think it's 50 Rice Street, as the location of the Janus Transport. And it's JANIS, right? I don't know why people think that you don't have the information that you have. But anyway. So, somebody had posted something in East Providence about Nappy. And I made a comment. Then someone reached out to me and told me that Nappy's son was arrested for murder. So I reached out to the family of the victim. And I had a nice conversation with them. I told them that I was, so sorry that they had been through this, because it was a cold case for 10 years. It was a cold case for 10 years. So, during that conversation, they had mentioned that at the time Jason worked for a transport company. And that, so they're telling me what they know, what they've put out. I didn't know that there's a whole website about this. So they tell me that what they know about that night. And Jason lost his keys and had to call somebody, and the person that came, Jason's covered in blood, and they're making their little pact, how they're not going to talk about this, and they're going to deny, because Jason learned from a good one. So anyway, and how the clothes were burned at a transport company that Jason worked at that has since closed. So now I'm talking to the person from East Providence, and I was like, oh wow, this is really a crazy story, and then they took the bloody clothes and they burned them at a company that Jason worked at that's no longer a transport company. And it rang a bell with that person, and they said, wait a minute, a transport company? Roberto De Silva and Nappy Gonzalez have a transport company together. So, I know that Nappy thinks, the information you have isn't correct. Nah, I don't know. Documents with the state don't lie. Well, they probably could lie. But usually for like businesses and things and licenses and stuff like that. Um, I don't know. What do you think, Nappy? It's funny because when I'm on the phone, when I'm texting with Nappy, and he says to me, I could say something that could really make you mad. Now, I can just imagine the way he says it, right? What are we, in second grade? Are we, have you not gotten past second grade? Because that's what two second graders would say, right? I say something and then you say, well, I could say something that would really make you mad. Say it, Nappy. And that's what I say to him. Say it. You say what's on your mind. You got something to say? Say it, Nappy. Go ahead. You do it. Do it. You got something to say. What are you going to say? You're going to say something good? You could say something that would really make me mad. And he makes it seem like I just want to hurt people. This was what he was trying to say. No. You're only in front of me because you hurt my family. And your son murdered, up for murder, charges murder, Zachary Marshall. So, say it, Nappy. You got something to say, you say it. Go for it. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of anything that you might want to say to hurt my feelings. Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing? The IA investigator, the detective in IA, wants to play. I'll play. I'll play right along. You got something to say, Nappy? You go for it. And he says to me, well, I'll just look at the police report and the IA investigate. Where are you getting it, Nappy? Did you bring it home with you? Because as far as I know, you don't work for the Pawtucket Police Department. And in that text messaging, you told me that they don't like you. You were not liked. Wonder why, Nappy? Wonder why? Anyway, I'm going to stop here. I'll get back to it.